Hi, my name is Annette Fletcher, and I am the organizer and coordinator of the Wear Your Crown speaker series, Walking into Your Queendom, where we have a variety of queens sharing what they do, why they do it, why it's important, and how you can connect with them. Today, we have none other than Jessieca Montgomery. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today, Annette?
I am relaxed and excited. I started my day actually probably preparing for this because everything that you're going to talk about, I was working on this morning.
Where are you?
Yes, yes.
That's awesome.
So, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Jessica Montgomery, as you said. I live in Waldorf, Maryland. I'm right outside of Washington, D.C. We're about 20 minutes from the city,
Mhm.
and I am very happy to be here. I am a mom of two lovely teenagers. I say lovely. One is a tween, actually, she's 12 and the other is 17. I've been married for about 28 years now. Been with my husband for 32 years, so we've been together a long time. And yes, I am a spring chicken. I reached out to you, or we communicated back and forth because I wanted to share with you and your followers or your listeners what I've done within the last year. And within the last year, well, speaking of 2020, I have written 4 books. And that came about because of the quarantine and a fast and God. So to back up a little bit, I've always been in the communications industry. So I've done like films and videos, voiceovers, taught communications, drama, done the whole full gamut. I know I've not met Tyler Perry or any of the other big stars, but I've been in the business for a while, us small people on the peripheral. And so I told a friend I was going to take a communications class on public speaking. And she said, well, why are you going to do that? I mean, you've arrived, right? I mean, you don't need any more training. And the one thing that came to mind to me was that, no, I do need to continue training. And so I took the class. And then when I took the class, I finished. And when I finished, I asked God what he wanted me to do with the gifts, because I got my certificate, I stuck it out and I got that certificate. And so he told me that he wanted me to teach. And I'm like, teach public speaking, teach communications to who? And so he was like, well, teach it. And I was like, well, it's to adults. And then no, I said to teenagers, because Lord, I'm not mature enough to teach teenagers. I'm just not there, right? So he said, no, children, elementary school kids, elementary school. The patience for those little people, right? So he said, no, grades K through 5. Teach public speaking to children in grades K through 5. And so my journey began. And that was probably about 7 years ago. And so I started teaching and traveling and teaching the fundamentals of public speaking. I don't teach them how to debate. I don't teach them how to write speeches. I teach them the fundamentals of writing speeches because they have to, deliver them. But I'm not a speech writer. I don't teach those things at all. I leave that up to Toastmasters or to the schools or wherever else they're going to get it. I teach them the fundamentals, meaning enunciation, pronunciation, good stuff like that. And so I was working and doing that. And then I decided, well, God, I want to write a book for teaching children public speaking. And I'm going to tell you, years had passed, years, just crickets, crickets. And then one day last year during a fast, it was a woman's fast for 30 days. I fasted from sweets. I fasted from social media, and I prayed. And, if you don't pray when you're fasting, it's just a diet, right? So while I was fasting in that time, I was online. And the Holy Spirit said, a coloring and activity book for children in public speaking in grades K through 5. He gave it to me. He gave it to me. And so when he gave it to me that one day, I wrote a book in one day, finished it up in one day, right? And so when it's the Holy Spirit, because you're still hungry, you're still hungry, right? And my husband, my wonderful husband, is a graphic designer. So he designs websites, he designs anything that's graphic or design. This stuff behind me, he designs. That's what he does, right? He has client base. So I took the book and I said, can you illustrate this for me? He said, sure, write it down, send it to me, whatever you need, send it to me, right? This is January. In May, I said, well, you going to illustrate my book? What's the process, right? He turned to me and said, if I start designing your book, you had better be ready. I mean, you better be ready to market. You better be ready to do this. Da, 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 da. I said, you've had my book since January and you telling me that now I need to be ready? Okay. So I went online and I said, Lord, he has a client base and he's busy, you know, but it's just how it is. Like a chef, I'm sure there's some chefs that just don't want to cook when they get home. You know, you're doing it all day. And I get it, right? Love the man, girl. I love the man. So I prayed again. God, you know he's busy. I don't know how to illustrate. So I need to hire an illustrator. No big deal. Because I know what you put in me, what you told me, right? So I went online to search for illustrators. And my understanding is that they're out there, $15, but you know, whatever it is, there are illustrators out there that you can hire, give them your idea and they'll make it happen, right? But I went online and I ended up at YouTube University, right? And on YouTube University, I found a woman that teaches people how to make animation with PowerPoint. I got online and watched that woman and learned how to design. This is one of them. This one right here is Words We Choose, Sounds and Words We Choose. So I designed all this, right? Designed it all, right? And then I went through and designed, look, and they all have biblical names, right? So they all have biblical names or names that I wanted to give them. Like my girl here, where is she? My girl right here, her name is Lakeisha. You ain't gonna find a blonde Lakeisha, but her name is Lakeisha, right? I gave them the names I want to give them. But the thing is that God put that in me, right? So I designed these books, and what I would do is I would design it on my computer and then slide it up to my husband who's laying there watching TV. What you think? What you think? So this, the cover right here, it wasn't like this. And you know, we're probably gonna change at some point, but it wasn't like this. It looked like something else. So I slid it up to him and I said, well, what you think? He said, well, what I would do is I would bunch them together and I would move them around and do this. I bunched them together and moved them around and did all this, right? And then, but my thing is that look at God. So he gave me one book. My first book, I think, was Types of Speeches or something like that. I have three, like I said, so here they are. I don't think you can see them, but these are the three. There you go. So one is orange, the other one's green, and the other one's blue. And it's Types of Speeches, Speech Limits, and Sounds and Words We Choose. And then I have the fourth one, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, so I laid this book out and I looked at it, you know, for a while and just sort of thought it through. And then God said, well, you got to teach them. Somebody's got to own it. So we have a page in here saying this book belongs to, right? And so through here, we talk about the fundamentals. So the first like 10 or 11 pages are on the fundamentals of public speaking, watching your pacing, what is a lectern versus a podium, and it's okay to be nervous. So those are the fundamentals. And then in the back for this one, this is Words and Sounds We Choose. So then you have articulation, inflections, and you see how we have the little characters there. And then in the back, we don't leave the little babies hanging. So for the children who are in grades K, who are not able to write yet or read full sentences, there's a part in here for them, because I think that with children at all ages, there's wisdom. And so I had a little girl in my class, and I think she was like first grade, and she showed me how to lay out a speech for a child who is who's not writing. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is how it is. It's here. So she laid it out. So it's lines in a little box. And then in the beginning, it says awesome introduction, and then mighty middle, and then the excellent ending. And so if I ask them to write on a topic of, ducks, let's talk about ducks today. Describe a duck. And so in your speech, the little ones will draw a duck. Then they will draw it in a certain color and maybe the location, and they will stand up and describe what it is, and that's their speech. So the whole goal with the fundamentals of public speaking is getting them up out of the chair and getting them comfortable with public speaking. And so that's how I ended up with. So I wrote the first book, and then you know how you get that feeling, the Holy Spirit's like, I'm not done with you yet. I'm not done. I wrote the second book. He said, change the color, just change the color, because what'll happen is you'll lose the context. So people will end up looking for something different. You want to keep it, consistent. So he said, change the color. And then add this in there. I dedicated the book to my Queen Esther sisters. I dedicated it to my family. I mean, he gave me all this stuff. And then the third one that I wrote for public speaking, he shut it down. It's sort of like that when the Red Sea closed, and Moses closed it, he shut it down. And then in the middle of all that, I got angry one day. And I was so mad. was mad at him, my husband, right? And in marriage, and I'm sure you probably heard this, we get upset with one another, things happen. But the one thing that you don't do is go out of your marriage and start complaining to other people about it. You and God, right? You and God. And I was like, oh man, I ain't got nobody to talk to. I need to talk to somebody. And everybody loves my husband. My husband is a man's man and a woman's man. And I mean that in the way that he gets along with everybody. He gets along. When I say that man gets along with everybody, everybody loves him, right? And if they don't love him, then there's something wrong with them, because the dude is so cool, right? Except for when I want him to illustrate my book. So I came on one day and I was very bothered. And then I decided that I wanted to write it down. I had to write it down. Like, I was mad. So I just went to God and wrote it down, right? And I was like, wait a minute. If we can come up with something, if we had a place where we could just dump our negative thoughts and not mix it in with our journals, right? Journals are for growth, ideas, stuff like that. That's how I see it. Reflections, right? It can be a place to put your anger, but this right here, negative thoughts go in here and that's it. I don't know if you can see it or not. You can't see it. It's negative thoughts going here. That's it. Yeah. Negative thoughts going here and that's it, right? I changed the color already. So when you go to Amazon, when we show the link, it's going to look different, but it's the same book. But in this book, it just goes through these pages. You says, I'm angry because, and then you just leave it there. Angry, mad. That's it. We're not putting dreams in here. We're not putting ideas of, I don't know, painting our house or decorating. We're not doing that. This is just for your angry thoughts. There's an affirmation in the beginning that tells you that you're okay, you're good, you're fine. It affirms you. And then in the middle of it, we shift, right? And it says here, can we shift for a minute? And where we shift, we talk about, what is it that we can do to change our thinking? How can I change this thing around? Because, there are some people that are consumed with negative thoughts because they're not getting any positivity. They're not looking at things differently. It's just all negative. Everybody's after me. Everybody's doing this because, right? So dump it here, then think about ways that you can shift, right? And after you've thought of ways to shift and change that thing around, or if you get to the point is where you still need to keep writing, write the book and get another one, keep on writing. And if you still get to a place where this is, it's just not working out, not enough Advil, it's just not enough. I need some help. And I say in here, seek help. Talk to a best friend if you need to, but professional help is better. This book is not for you to be planning the demise of someone else. I'm going to plan out this to do that. No, it's not. It's for you to cleanse you, right? And then at the end, you got to destroy it. You can't keep it. So you got to throw it away. You got to burn it. You have to tear it up. It walks you through it. Have a funeral for it and invite people if you want to. Sound crazy, but if it's important to you and you have people in your life who love you, it's important to them, right? And so you get rid of it. These negative thoughts, gone. Yep. And if they come back, get another book, write it down again, get rid of it. Because the whole goal is to get away from it. This book should last you a long time. That's the thing. It's one of those books that you stick between the mattress. It's one of those books that you hide in the closet and the bookshelf. It's not for others' consumption. It's for you to do a dump and get rid of it. A dump meaning words, right? So that's what I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. But that's what it's all about. And we walk you through it. It's a book or a journal, however you want to refer to it. And I kept it simple because it's easy for you to put with everything else. It's easy for you to put in your bag if you need to, right? But it's easy to slide between that mattress, behind that pillow, underneath the dresser, wherever your place is, wherever your place is, right? And so if you live by yourself, you don't have anything to worry about except for when your friends and your family come over and find stuff, right? When they go through your stuff, right? But that's it, so you asked about our favorite quote, and my favorite quote was, "You have already arrived," right? And I said that because one day I went to visit my doctor. It was just a regular checkup, And I told her what I was doing because when I met her, I was producing a show. And when I say I was stressed, I was done, like done. She couldn't understand it. So a few years later, I'm a completely different person. I told her I wrote all these books. And she says, you know what? I can't believe you did that. She was like, she knows doctors. She runs in those circles and they haven't done it. Not even one. They want to, but they have not. She says, what you're doing is you're leaving behind a legacy, right? So when you're long gone, your books will still be here. That's a legacy. And I was like, wow. And I didn't think about that. She's like, you're doing it. And it's not arrogant. It's that we take so much time trying to get ready to get there. What if you've already arrived? What if you are already at that place and it's just time for you to build on it, right? So I wrote 4 books, right? I did it. I've overcome it. So I've arrived there. So it's time for me to build on that, right? But I can't continue to say, oh man, these books, this is not enough. It's just, I can't. I got to accept it and move on. And so I think that many of us have to understand that while we're still pushing and trying to get towards that goal or that mark, it's okay. You've arrived. You have overcome some things. You have accomplished many, many things. So you've arrived at some places, a lot of places. And so it's just time to build on that. So we got to, we can't be hard on ourselves. We can't think of ourselves as not getting there yet because we have, right? So
that's awesome. that is, I thank God for just sending me great queens, because most of them, not only do I get something from, but I hope and pray that the women who watch this get something who have decided to share their stories. You mentioned a couple of things. First of all, I used to teach early childhood education, and that book, those 3 books that you wrote are imperative. So I'm going to share the 3 books and where they can get them from. So the Easy for Kids Fundamentals of Speaking and Timing is so important. Like, in building those foundations for kids early, we do want to prepare them, because they are, as cliche as it sounds, they are our future and they will be our legacy. So in preparing them for their next levels, starting with an activity and a coloring book for kids K through 5, because the expectations for kids now when they're in kindergarten are high.
I agree.
We have kids that are in preschool and their parents are like, oh, it's daycare, they're playing. No. Because in kindergarten, they have to write. They have to start reading. And the expectation is that they can hold a pen, they can write their name, they can identify the sounds. And if you have not prepared them, then they're not going to be ready. So this activity book is a great springboard, I feel like, for that. Hold on, I'm missing one. There we go. The activity book and coloring book for kids, grades K through 5, Fundamentals of Speaking, Sounds and Words We Choose. The whole time, I'm like, this is awesome. So needed. And it's awesome that God laid it into your spirit to do, because if you notice at the inauguration, they had the young lady speaking, and she said she has been speaking and writing for a long time, and she plans to be president, right?
Yeah.
That starts early. Those seeds, this public speaking series that you have been blessed with is awesome. And I am excited about it. Like, I hope that everyone takes an opportunity to check this out. And this book, I'm absolutely in love with. As you were speaking, like, oh wait, now what did I write down? Okay, first the characters. I love the characters, because I feel like nowadays, a lot of times we get lost in coloration.
Yeah.
And this book doesn't do that. The fact that the young lady with the blonde hair and the red bow, Lakeisha, like, you don't judge me by my name or don't know my story. You don't know my story. And these children, basically, the identities that you gave them just on the cover, you couldn't sit and say, oh, she's probably from here or she's probably that, because when you get into the book and you see the names, then it doesn't. And you may connect, the people reading, the children looking at this book, they may connect to some of these characters. And I absolutely positively love it. Just so that you know, the one in the center with the blue hair, that's me all day with the at the bottom. Absolutely love it. Now, the negative thoughts here, when you said burn it after you're done, my heart dropped, but then I felt a sense of freedom. And I haven't even bought mine yet. But when you were like, you write them down, and there are pieces in the book, and you walked us through it. I was like, yes, like, this is a good, yes, I should write them down. Mine is mixed in my journal, but you're right, to go back and separate them and to let it go.
Yep.
You hold hold it. I feel like we hold it because we feel like we deserve to hold on to it because we went through it and we made it, or we didn't make it, or we're still dealing with it. But to have a funeral for it, to let it wash away. We did an activity in the sand that I thought was so stupid. They had us write like all these negative things in the sand, right? And I guess they knew the tide was going to be coming in, and I was writing.
Yep.
And
There you
writing.
go.
And when the water came up and washed it all away, I was like, oh, it just took it away.
Yeah.
Nobody read it. It was between me, the ocean, and God.
Yeah, because
it was as basic as it sounds. I walked away crying, but free at the same time. And I was like, that was weird, but that was really nice. Like, those little things make a difference. So I'm excited about actually all 4 of your books. 1 for the generation to come, because I feel like it's needed, and 2 for the adults and the children who need that space to vent safely. Because a lot of times when you do vent to people, they put you in the box, and nobody deserves to be put in the box. We all go through. We don't always share what we're going through and how and what we really know that is coming from. Sometimes we don't. But as we start writing it down and pushing it out, and it's like, oh, and if you have a process like your book has, so powerful. Like that is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
The pageant that I'm working on now, this series would actually be ideal for that. Yeah. So
I can come to Delaware.
I am, I am writing it out because the last speaker I had basically spoke life into me. And I'm like, you know what? Take your time, write it down, make it plain. And as God is putting people in my path, in my life, sharing their resources, he says, stop recreating stuff that people already have. Why are you trying to do it over? Why are you trying to put together a program when you have queens like Jessieca Montgomery out here creating books for children, for public speaking? And guess what? Our kids have to do that public speaking when they're in the pageant. And the pageant starts from kindergarten all the way up to senior citizens. But those who need to learn how to speak and present and to share, your book is already ready.
Yeah.
And for the negative piece that needs to come out, there are some grown queens that need that.
I agree.
So I am honored and excited. Your site is up as well. So are the books able to be purchased on the site?
They can be purchased on Amazon.
On Amazon.
So you will put the link in your when this is broadcast. We can put the link there, and by the time, it will be on the site. There it is right there. So they should be able to purchase it through the site. We'll make sure that they'll be able to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's definitely an opportunity to purchase it through Amazon.
We will put the links in the bottom of this video. If you missed any portion of this segment with Miss Montgomery, please go back and check it out. She has 3 phenomenal books for our children to enhance their speaking ability, and it's in stages for you. You don't have to make it up yourself. And guess what? There's a book also here for you, adults and children, for negative thoughts go in here. That's it. And the really cool thing about it is it doesn't have to be like a journal, something that you hold back or you hold on to and you look back and you're like, oh, I feel that again. No, you get to let it go. So I encourage you to check out Negative Thoughts, go here, and to get the series that she has for public speaking for kids. 3 phenomenal books that every child should have on their bookshelf. Now, I'm not going to limit it to kids because there are some adults that we just get enhanced by looking at little stuff, because when we get it, we share it. When our kids get it, they share it. So if you have a house full of kids and you're trying to figure out what to do with them, encourage them to check out this series. Miss Montgomery, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Appreciate you joining me. I will be getting that Negative Thoughts book as when I write, after I write everything down, because I think in processing, it's a great idea to just get it all out. Like, you know how you start a program and you're like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have enough this, and this is going to cost. Nope. We're going to write it all down before we even start that process. We're going to go through the book, go through the sections that you have outlined, and then we're going to burn it. And I am a party and a funeral and say, we're moving into our next season, our better season. And I'm taking Montgomery with me.
That's right. I'll go with you.
Ladies, this is the Wear Your Crown Empowerment Speaker Series, Walking into Your Queendom, where we share phenomenal queens like Miss Montgomery. Be sure to check out her series of books, and we hope to see you guys soon. Welcome to the Queendom. Thank you, Miss Montgomery.
Thank you.